Lieutenant Sarah Matthews stood at attention on the beach, her boots sinking slightly into the wet sand as waves crashed behind her. At 5'8", with a lean, muscular build, she looked every bit the soldier she was. Except she wasn't just any soldier. She was the first woman ever selected for the experimental Navy SEAL training program, and today marked day one of the most grueling military training in existence. "You think you belong here, Lieutenant?" Chief Instructor Blackwell's voice cut through the pre-dawn air. His weathered face, tanned from decades of service, showed no emotion. "Yes, sir," Sarah replied, eyes fixed forward. The 5 men standing in line beside her shifted uncomfortably. Sarah had served 3 distinguished years as an Army Ranger, earning commendations for valor under fire in Syria. Growing up, she'd devoured stories about Chris Kyle, the legendary SEAL sniper, and his unwavering commitment to protecting his fellow soldiers. When the experimental program opened, a Pentagon initiative to test female integration into the SEALs, Sarah had been the first to volunteer and the only woman to pass the initial screening. "Being a Ranger doesn't make you SEAL material," Blackwell continued. "90% of you won't make it through Hell Week. I'm betting our female candidate won't last 3 days. Sarah kept her face neutral, though her jaw tightened. She wasn't here to prove anything to Blackwell. She was here to earn her trident. The morning began with a 5-mile beach run in full gear. Sarah had studied Admiral William McRaven's philosophy: start by making your bed perfectly, because small disciplines compound into greater achievements. She applied this thinking to each stride, each breath, focusing only on the present moment. By week 2, patterns emerged. Sarah excelled in marksmanship, outscoring most of her class with the M4 carbine. Her hands remained steady, her breathing controlled, but the underwater confidence training nearly broke her. The instructors held candidates underwater until the edge of consciousness, teaching them to suppress the drowning reflex. "Matthews is struggling," Blackwell noted to his fellow instructor after watching her emerge gasping from the pool. "But she keeps going back under," replied Master Chief Ortiz. "That counts for something." In her barracks at night, Sarah pushed through muscle fatigue to complete extra sets of pull-ups. A fellow candidate, Specialist Miller, who had once served under Marcus Luttrell in Afghanistan, noticed her determination. "You're not what I expected," he admitted one evening, helping her correct her form. "What did you expect?" Sarah asked between reps. "Someone who'd quit by now," Miller answered honestly. "Luttrell always said the only easy day was yesterday. You seemed to understand that better than most." By the 3rd week, the class had dropped from 30 candidates to 18. Sarah remained, despite battling constant exhaustion and a sprained wrist she hadn't reported to medical. The hand-to-hand combat phase began with Master Chief Anderson, a legendary instructor known for his brutality. At 6'4", with hands like sledgehammers, Anderson had broken more SEAL candidates than anyone in the program's history. "Combat is chaos," Anderson announced to the class. "You will be outgunned, outmanned, and out of luck. Sometimes all you have is yourself." He pulled out a training knife, rubber but weighted like the real thing, and called Sarah forward. Whispers rippled through the room. Anderson was making an example of her. "Disarm me, Lieutenant," he ordered, dropping into a fighting stance. Sarah recalled a technique she'd learned from a Medal of Honor recipient, Dakota Meyer, during a special training session for Rangers. Meyer had emphasized using an opponent's momentum rather than matching strength against strength. Anderson lunged, knife slashing toward her torso. Instead of backing away, Sarah stepped in, pivoting her body while grabbing his wrist and elbow. Using his forward momentum, she twisted his arm into an unnatural angle, simultaneously striking behind his knee. Before anyone could process what had happened, Anderson's knife clattered to the floor, and the massive instructor was off balance, his arm locked in Sarah's grip. The room fell silent. "Good," Anderson said quietly, a new respect in his eyes. Again. Hell Week arrived like a nightmare. For 5 days, candidates received less than 4 hours of sleep total while enduring constant physical exertion, cold water immersion, and tactical challenges. On the third night, during a beach evolution carrying inflatable boats over there. Heads, candidate Williams collapsed. Without hesitation, Sarah took his position, effectively bearing double the weight. "Leave him," an instructor ordered when Sarah tried to help Williams up. "No man left behind, sir," she replied, helping Williams to his feet while maintaining her position under the boat. Instructor Blackwell watched from the darkness. "She's channeling Patton's leadership," he murmured to Anderson. "Tough as nails, but looks after her people." Later that night, during a simulated extraction exercise, a sleep-deprived candidate accidentally discharged a blank round near another trainee's face, causing temporary blindness. Sarah immediately took command, applying first aid and completing the mission parameters while ensuring the injured man was properly cared for. By week's end, only 9 candidates remained standing, Sarah among them. Though Hell Week was over, 6 more weeks of advanced tactical training awaited. Sarah excelled in underwater demolition techniques and showed particular aptitude for extraction planning. "She thinks like Patton, but moves like a ghost," Anderson remarked during an evaluation meeting. Blackwell, who had bet against her lasting 3 days, could only nod in agreement. On graduation day, 14 weeks after that first morning on the beach, only 7 candidates remained. Admiral William McRaven himself had come to deliver the commencement address and present the coveted SEAL tridents. "The qualities that make a SEAL aren't measured by gender," McRaven said, addressing the small gathering of family members and military officials. "They're measured by heart, by resilience, and by the unwavering commitment to never quit." When Sarah's name was called, she stepped forward, back straight, eyes clear. As McRaven pinned the trident to her uniform, making her officially the first female Navy SEAL in history, she caught Blackwell's eye. The chief instructor gave her a single respectful nod. After the ceremony, Master Chief Anderson approached her. "Lieutenant Matthews," he said, extending his hand. In it lay the training knife she had disarmed him of weeks earlier. "I think you've earned this." Sarah accepted the knife with a smile. "Thank you, Master Chief." "No," Anderson replied. "Thank you for proving me wrong." The sun had barely crested the horizon when Captain Maya Rodriguez stepped onto the hallowed grounds of Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. At 32, she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who had already faced death numerous times. 2 tours in Afghanistan as a Marine sniper had earned her the Bronze Star with valor and a reputation for deadly precision under pressure. Now, she faced an entirely different challenge. "Captain Rodriguez," Commander Hayes said, reviewing her file one last time. "Your record speaks for itself, but Bud S. is different from anything you've encountered." Maya nodded, fingering the worn leather sheath holding her grandfather's combat knife, a relic from his days as a Marine in Vietnam. "I understand, sir." "Do you?" Hayes raised an eyebrow. "You're the only woman in a program that's never admitted females. This integration initiative has Robert O'Neill's backing, but plenty in the chain of command want it to fail. Then they'll be disappointed, sir," Maya replied, her dark eyes unwavering. The classified SEAL integration program had been quietly authorized by the Secretary of Defense. After years of debate, the military's most elite unit would test whether women could meet the uncompromising standards required to wear the trident. Maya knew she wasn't just representing herself. She carried the expectations of countless female service members on her shoulders. The first day of training brought predictable challenges. Many of the 23 men selected for the program openly resented her presence. During the initial physical screening test, Maya completed the required pull-ups, swim, and run well above minimum standards, silencing some critics, but fueling others who saw her as a political statement rather than a warrior. During weapons qualification, Maya's expertise became impossible to ignore. Her groupings with the M4 carbine and Sig Sauer sidearm were tighter. than any other candidates, a testament to her thousands of hours behind a scope. "Not bad for a Marine," muttered Chief Petty Officer Davis, the head firearms instructor, inspecting her target. "Let's see how you handle sleep deprivation and cold water." In her sparse barracks room each night, Maya studied the tactical wisdom of Richard Marcinko, founder of SEAL Team 6, whose books she'd smuggled into her gear. His emphasis on unconventional thinking and mental toughness resonated with her. When exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, she thought of Lieutenant Michael Murphy, who had given his life in Afghanistan, exposing himself to enemy fire to call for help for his team. Murphy didn't quit, she whispered to herself during pre-dawn. Training evolutions. I won't either. By week 4, the class had dwindled from 24 to 15. Maya remained, despite suffering a hairline fracture in her foot that she concealed from medical staff. The instructors had escalated their psychological warfare, particularly targeting her with comments designed to break her will. "Rodriguez, you think you belong here?" Instructor Williams shouted during a particularly brutal log PT session. "You're taking a spot from a real operator." Maya channeled her response into the exercise, lifting the waterlogged telephone pole alongside her. Struggling teammates. That night, she carefully wrapped her injured foot, knowing tomorrow would bring the combat training module she had been waiting for. Sergeant Wilson entered the training room with the swagger of a man accustomed to being feared. A former Delta Force operator with 5 confirmed hand-to-hand kills, he surveyed the candidates with thinly veiled contempt. "Combat isn't fair," Wilson announced, removing his blouse to reveal forearms covered in scars. "When your weapon fails or runs dry, all you have is what's up here." He tapped his temple, and these, he held up his fists. For 2 hours, Wilson demonstrated techniques for disarming opponents, using unfortunate candidates as training dummies. Then he pulled out his sidearm, a Glock 19 loaded with simulation rounds. "There's a technique to retain your weapon when someone tries to take it," Wilson explained, holstering the pistol. "I'll give a weekend liberty pass to anyone who can disarm me. Any takers?" Several male candidates tried and failed, some painfully. Wilson's retention technique proved flawless, each attempt ending with the candidate pinned or thrown to the ground. "Rodriguez," Wilson finally called, "let's see what the Marine Corps taught you." Maya stepped forward, conscious of every eye in the room watching her. Wilson smirked, hand resting casually on his holstered weapon. "Whenever you're ready, Captain." Maya had studied Krav Maga before joining the Marines, learning from an Israeli instructor who emphasized explosive speed over strength. As she faced Wilson, she recalled a particular disarming technique rarely taught in American military circles. She moved suddenly, not toward his weapon side as expected, but toward his non-dominant side. As Wilson reacted, Maya pivoted, her left hand striking his wrist, while her right simultaneously applied pressure to a nerve point near his elbow. Before Wilson could counter, she had executed a joint manipulation that forced him to release the weapon. In under 2 seconds, Maya stood holding Wilson's Glock, its barrel pointed safely downward. The room fell silent. Wilson stared at her, then at his empty holster. Slowly, his expression of shock transformed into a grin. "Where the hell did you learn that?" he asked. "Tel Aviv," Maya replied simply, offering the pistol back to him grip first. The next morning, Sergeant Wilson approached Maya during their pre-dawn physical training. "Meet me at the combat room at 2100 hours, he said quietly. "I'll teach you some things they don't cover in the manual." Thus began an unlikely mentorship. After hours, Wilson showed Maya advanced close-quarters combat techniques he'd learned in classified operations. In return, she shared insights from her sniper training. During the infamous drown-proofing exercises, where candidates were bound hand and foot and required to complete underwater maneuvers, Maya demonstrated exceptional breath control. When candidate Parker began to panic underwater, Maya stayed with him, using eye contact and calm presence to help him regain control. "She's got the David Goggins mindset," Wilson commented to Commander Hayes, referencing the legendary SEAL known for pushing beyond normal human limitations. When her body says stop, her mind says keep going. The final test came during a night mission against a simulated enemy force comprised of veteran SEALs. When the designated squad leader was killed in the first engagement, Maya instinctively took command, reorganizing the team and developing a flanking strategy that caught the opposition by surprise. "Reminds me of Audie Murphy," Wilson remarked afterward, referencing America's most decorated Wabitwat combat soldier. Small in stature, but massive in courage. 6 months after stepping onto Coronado, Captain Maya Rodriguez stood at attention as Commander Hayes pinned the SEAL Trident to her uniform. "The standards haven't changed," Hayes announced to the 7 remaining graduates. "You have risen to meet them." Maya touched her grandfather's knife, now secured alongside her newly earned trident. Both symbols represented the same thing, the unbreakable spirit of an American warrior.